Did you know that the highest rated movie ever, Shawshank Redemption, was actually based on a book? The author behind it, Stephen King, has sold more than 350 million copies of his books worldwide. I have read many of Stephen King's most popular books, and through that experience I've become fascinated with his story and curious behind the motives for his writing. Doing the research to do this speech just made me appreciate his work a whole lot more. Today I'm going to share with you the highlights of his life, from his childhood to his education, to his writing career, and the achievements that make him one of the greatest authors ever. According to the Stephen King website, he was born on September 21st, 1947 in Portland, Maine. His father, Donald, was a sea merchant, and his mother, Nellie Ruth, worked at a mental institution. When Stephen was only 2 years old, his father left for a pack of cigarettes and never returned. From then on, Stephen and his older brother, Donald, were primarily raised by their mother, Nellie. When he was 11, he discovered a few short stories that his father had written, and it sparked his interest to become a writer. Stephen King's writing career began shortly after that, when he was 12. In 1959, he and Donald made their own homemade newspaper called Dave's Rag, which sold for 5 cents an issue. Stephen King discovered his love for horror at a young age through comic books and radio dramas. During high school, King published his first short story with a friend in 1963. 2 years later, his short story called I Was a Teenage Grave Robber was published in a local fan magazine. In 1966, he enrolled at the University of Maine at Orano, where he was studying English as an English major, but he was still writing short stories for his local newspaper. In 1971, he graduated and got a job teaching English at a high school, but teachers weren't getting paid much, so to make ends meet, he was forced to get a second job at an industrial laundry while his wife worked at a donut shop. Around this time, King made his first professional sale when a company called Startling Mystery Stories bought his short story named The Glass House for $35. In 1974, Stephen King's writing career took off with the publication of Carrie. Carrie's rights sold for $2,500, and King quit his teaching job to pursue writing full-time. The following years brought a few of his classics: Salem's Lot in 1975, which is a story about vampires, and The Shining in 1977. The Shining remains one of his most popular books to this day. Despite his success, King struggled with alcoholism through the 70s and 80s, but with counseling, support from his friends and family, he was able to overcome this addiction. King would often try to spark his imagination for his books through a simple what-if question. For example, what if humanity was almost wiped out? This became The Stand, which is a story that takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. And also, what if a fan was dangerously obsessed with their favorite author, which became Misery, a story about a crazy fan who kidnaps her favorite author. Stephen King was hit by a van in 1999 on his way home. He suffered severe injuries and was placed in critical condition. He said in a later interview called The Art of Fiction 189 that a character from his novel Dreamcatcher was actually based on his experience being injured. Many of Stephen King's books have been turned into films and have dominated the industry. A few of his most popular ones include Carrie, The Shining, Misery, The Green Mile, It, and Pet Sematary. These successes cement his reputation as not only one of the greatest storytellers ever, but also one of the greatest authors. Today, I have given you a look at Stephen King's childhood, his education, his early struggles, his breakthroughs, and the achievements that make him one of the greatest authors ever. Stephen King's journey shows us that even the master of horror has gone through his own personal challenges, from poverty to addiction to a near-fatal car accident. But through it all, his creativity, resilience, and drive turned him into one of the most well-known, most read, and well-received authors the world has ever seen. The story shows us that challenges are not what define us, but how we channel them does.